Have you ever noticed that the people who achieve extraordinary success don't always look like the smartest person in the room? They don't always have the best education, the richest family, or the most talent. Yet somehow they keep winning while everyone else wonders, what do they have that I don't? The answer is uncomfortable because it forces us to look in the mirror. Most people spend their lives waiting to feel motivated before they act, but the highest performers act long before motivation arrives. They don't negotiate with excuses. They don't wait for the perfect mood. They simply decide that the standard they have set for themselves is more important than temporary comfort. Today, I want to take you on a journey into that mindset. Not because it is easy, not because it is popular, but because it has the power to completely change the way you think about success. Stay with me until the end, because one lesson near the end of this series might completely redefine the way you approach your dreams. Before we begin, ask yourself one question. If everything stayed exactly the same for the next 5 years, would you honestly be proud of where your life is heading? Most people don't answer that question because deep down, they already know the truth. Change begins the moment you stop lying to yourself. The first truth is simple but difficult to accept. Your biggest competition is not another person. It is the weaker version of yourself that keeps asking for comfort every single day. Every morning, there are two voices inside your mind. One says, sleep a little longer, skip today's work, you deserve a break. The other says, get up, someone else is already working while you are making excuses. The direction of your life depends on which voice wins more often. This reminds me of the remarkable journey of Michael Jordan. Before he became one of the greatest athletes in history, he experienced rejection that many people would have allowed to define their future. As a teenager, he did not make the varsity basketball team during an early stage of his high school career. Instead of accepting defeat, he treated the disappointment as fuel. He practiced relentlessly, returned stronger, and eventually became one of the most accomplished competitors the sport has ever seen. The lesson isn't that rejection guarantees greatness. The lesson is that rejection reveals your response. Some people let failure become an excuse. Others let it become their training ground. Imagine if Jordan had said, maybe I'm just not talented enough. The world would have lost one of its greatest examples of perseverance. Now ask yourself, how many dreams have been buried simply because someone quit after one rejection? The uncomfortable truth is that success often belongs to the person who stays in the game the longest. We admire confidence, but confidence is rarely the starting point. Action comes first. Confidence follows evidence. Every small promise you keep to yourself becomes proof that you can trust yourself. Every promise you break teaches your brain the opposite. Think about that carefully. Your self-confidence is built by your daily habits, not by positive thinking alone. This brings us to another powerful story. When Steve Jobs was forced out of the company he had helped create, many believed his greatest chapter had ended. Instead of allowing bitterness to consume him, he built new companies, developed new ideas, and continued growing as a leader. Years later, he returned to lead the company into one of the greatest business comebacks in history. The setback became preparation, the loss became education, the humiliation became fuel. Notice something important. None of those events felt positive while they were happening. Growth almost never feels comfortable in the moment. We only recognize its value after we survive it. That is why patience is one of the rarest forms of strength. We live in a world addicted to instant rewards. People expect six-pack abs after 2 weeks in the gym. They expect financial freedom after a few months of work. They expect mastery after watching a handful of online videos. Real progress doesn't work that way. Nature itself teaches a different lesson. A giant oak tree does not appear overnight. It spends years strengthening roots that nobody can see before anyone admires the branches. Your unseen work is never wasted. Every disciplined morning, every extra hour of learning, every difficult decision to stay focused is becoming part of the foundation that other people cannot yet recognize. The danger is that most people quit during the invisible stage because they mistake silence for failure. Just because nobody is applauding doesn't mean you aren't improving. Imagine a sculptor standing before a giant block of stone. The first 100 strikes with the hammer may show almost no visible change. Then suddenly, one strike causes a large piece to break away. Was it only the final strike that mattered? Of course not. Every strike weakened the stone until transformation became visible. Success works the same way. Your effort is accumulating even when the results seem delayed. Another story proves this point beautifully. Thomas Edison is widely remembered for developing the practical incandescent light bulb, but before achieving success, he and his team tested countless materials that failed to produce the desired result. Whether the exact number often quoted is accurate or not, what is well documented is that repeated experimentation was essential to the process. Edison viewed each unsuccessful attempt as information that brought him closer to a working solution rather than as a reason to quit. That perspective transformed frustration into progress. The strongest people do not experience fewer failures. They simply assign a different meaning to failure. Most people ask, "Why is this happening to me?" High performers ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Those two questions create two completely different lives. One creates victims, the other creates leaders. Think about your own challenges. Maybe you've been rejected. Maybe your business isn't growing. Maybe your family doesn't understand your dreams. Maybe you feel like your hard work goes unnoticed. Those experiences do not automatically make you stronger. They only make you stronger if you choose to learn from them. Pain is a teacher, but only for students willing to pay attention. There is another dangerous habit that quietly destroys potential: comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Social media has made this habit even worse. You scroll through endless images of success without seeing the years of struggle behind them. You see the victory, but not the sacrifice. You see the celebration, but not the lonely nights of preparation. Never compare your chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 20. Focus on writing your own story instead of trying to copy someone else's ending. Every extraordinary achievement begins with ordinary days repeated consistently. Greatness is rarely built in dramatic moments. It is built in quiet mornings when nobody is watching. It is built in decisions that nobody will ever applaud. It is built in keeping promises that only you know you made. That is why character matters more than reputation. Reputation is who people think you are. Character is who you choose to be when nobody is watching. The moment you begin choosing character over reputation, something extraordinary starts to happen. You stop performing for applause and start performing for your own standards. That single shift changes everything. Most people work hard only when someone is watching. They become disciplined only when there is a deadline. They stay committed only when they feel inspired. But the people who build remarkable lives operate differently. They understand that discipline is not an event, it is an identity. Every decision you make is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. If you continue choosing comfort, you become someone who depends on comfort. If you continue choosing growth, you become someone who naturally seeks challenges. Success is not built by one massive decision. It is built by thousands of tiny choices that nobody else notices. Think about a pilot preparing for a long flight. Before passengers even enter the aircraft, every system is inspected, every instrument is checked, and every possible risk is considered. Why? Because professionals don't rely on luck, they rely on preparation. Life works the same way.
The opportunities people call luck are often nothing more than preparation meeting the right moment. This reminds me of the incredible story of Kobe Bryant. Many teammates and opponents described how he would arrive hours before practice officially began. While others were still asleep, he had already completed workouts that most people would consider exhausting. By the time the game started, he wasn't hoping to perform well. He knew he had prepared better than most of the competition. Whether every story told about his schedule is perfectly accurate or not, what is consistently documented is his extraordinary commitment to preparation. The lesson is powerful. Confidence grows from preparation, not wishful thinking. Ask yourself a simple question. If opportunity knocked on your door tomorrow, would your current habits be enough to take advantage of it? Most people pray for opportunities they are completely unprepared to handle. They want success without becoming the person capable of sustaining it. That is why success sometimes destroys people instead of rewarding them. They reached a level their character had never prepared them for. Imagine giving the keys of a race car to someone who has never learned how to drive. The problem isn't the car. The problem is the lack of preparation. Life works exactly the same way. Another hidden enemy is distraction. We live in an age where attention has become one of the most valuable resources in the world. Every notification, every short video, every unnecessary argument competes for your focus. Hours disappear without you realizing where they went. Days become weeks, weeks become years, and suddenly people wonder why their dreams never became reality. The truth is painful. Most dreams don't die because of failure. They die because of distraction. The world rarely steals your future in one dramatic moment. It steals it a few minutes at a time. That is why protecting your attention is protecting your future. Every hour you invest wisely becomes a building block for the life you want. Every hour you waste becomes a brick in the life you never intended to build. There is another lesson that many people learn too late. You cannot control every event that happens to you, but you can always control the meaning you give it. Two people can experience the same setback and create completely different futures. One sees proof that life is unfair. The other sees an invitation to become stronger. Circumstances may be shared, but interpretations are always personal. The meaning you assign to your struggles often determines the direction of your future. And this leads us to an even bigger question. If discipline creates strength and preparation creates confidence, what is the one habit that silently destroys both before success even arrives?
The answer is simple, but it has defeated millions of people without them ever realizing it. It is the habit of making excuses. Excuses are dangerous because they sound reasonable. They don't shout, they whisper. They tell you that today isn't the right day, that you should wait until you have more money, more experience, more confidence, or more time. Before you know it, months turn into years, and the life you dreamed about exists only in your imagination. The frightening part is that every excuse feels justified in the moment. That's why so many intelligent people remain average. They don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they become experts at explaining why they can't start today. One of the greatest examples of refusing excuses is Arnold Schwarzenegger. When he arrived in America, he didn't speak perfect English. He had very little money, and many people believed his accent alone would prevent him from becoming a movie star. Instead of accepting those limitations as permanent, he worked on every weakness one by one. He trained harder, improved his communication, and kept moving forward while critics kept predicting his failure. Eventually, the same qualities that people mocked became part of what made him unforgettable. The lesson is clear. Winners don't wait until conditions become perfect. They improve themselves until they become too valuable to ignore. Think about your own life for a moment. What excuse have you been repeating for months? Maybe it's your age. Maybe it's your background. Maybe it's the fear of what other people will think.
Now imagine removing that excuse completely. What would stop you then? Most people never ask themselves that question because excuses provide temporary comfort. But comfort has a hidden cost. Every comfortable decision today often creates a difficult tomorrow. On the other hand, every difficult decision today usually creates an easier future. That is the trade successful people willingly accept. There is another invisible trap that destroys potential long before failure does. It is the desire to be liked by everyone. The moment your decisions become controlled by other people's opinions, your future no longer belongs to you. Every great leader in history has disappointed someone. Every innovator has been criticized. Every person who dared to do something extraordinary was misunderstood before they were admired. This reminds us of the journey of Elon Musk. Throughout his career, many of his ambitious ideas were dismissed as unrealistic or impossible. Whether it was electric vehicles, reusable rockets, or other long-term projects, he faced repeated skepticism and setbacks. Yet he continued pursuing goals that many people considered impractical. Regardless of what anyone thinks about his decisions, his career demonstrates an important principle. If your vision depends on universal approval, you will never attempt anything truly ambitious. The people who change the world are rarely the ones trying to please everyone. They are the ones willing to stay focused while the world doubts them. Remember this because it may become one of the most valuable lessons of your life. Criticism is often the price of growth. If nobody ever disagrees with your goals, perhaps your goals are not bold enough. But there is one final mindset shift that separates those who merely dream from those who consistently achieve. And once you understand it, you'll begin seeing every setback as an opportunity instead of a barrier.
The mindset shift is this: stop asking whether something is happening to you and start asking how it can work for you. That single question has the power to transform frustration into fuel. Every obstacle carries a lesson, but only those who remain curious long enough ever discover it. Imagine standing at the bottom of a mountain. From where you are, the climb looks exhausting. Every step feels like resistance. But when you finally reach the summit, you realize the mountain was never your enemy. It was your teacher. The same challenge that tested your strength also created it. Life operates by the same principle. The difficulties you wish would disappear are often the very experiences preparing you for responsibilities you are not yet ready to carry. Consider the remarkable journey of Walt Disney. Early in his career, he faced repeated business setbacks and financial failures before building one of the world's most recognized entertainment companies. Those disappointments did not define the end of his story. They became part of the education that shaped his future decisions. Had he accepted those early failures as proof that he wasn't capable, millions of people would never have experienced the stories and characters that later inspired generations. The lesson is not that success is guaranteed if you never quit. The lesson is that quitting guarantees you'll never know what could have happened if you had continued. Every morning, you are given a choice. You can spend your energy complaining about what you cannot control, or you can invest that same energy improving what you can. One choice drains your future, the other builds it. Many people underestimate the incredible power of consistency. Because consistency is not exciting. There are no fireworks when you wake up early for the 100th day. There is no applause when you choose to read instead of scrolling through your phone. There are no headlines when you keep your promises to yourself. But these invisible victories slowly reshape your identity. Eventually, discipline stops feeling like effort and starts feeling natural. That is when real transformation begins. Think about a blacksmith forging a sword. Steel becomes stronger only after repeated cycles of intense heat and relentless hammering. If the steel could speak, it might believe it was being destroyed. In reality, it was being strengthened for a purpose it could not yet understand. Many people misinterpret difficult seasons the same way. They assume pressure means life is against them, when sometimes pressure is preparing them for a level they have never experienced before. This perspective becomes even more powerful when you remember the life of J.K. Rowling. Before achieving worldwide success, she experienced financial hardship, personal struggles, and numerous publisher rejections. Those setbacks could have convinced her to abandon her manuscript forever. Instead, she kept believing in the value of her work until someone else finally did too. Her story reminds us that rejection is often temporary, but giving up can become permanent. Never let a temporary situation make a permanent decision for you. Another habit that separates exceptional people from everyone else is their relationship with responsibility. Average performers search for someone to blame. Extraordinary performers search for something they can improve. Blame may protect your ego, but responsibility strengthens your future. The moment you accept responsibility, you reclaim your power. You stop waiting for circumstances to change because you become the person creating change. Ask yourself honestly, if your life improved dramatically over the next 3 years, what daily habits would deserve the credit? Now ask the opposite question. If nothing changed over those same 3 years, what habits would be responsible for keeping you exactly where you are? Those answers reveal more about your future than any prediction ever could. Remember, your future is not created by what you occasionally do when motivation is high. It is created by what you repeatedly do when motivation disappears. That is where character is tested. That is where resilience is built. And that is where ordinary people quietly become extraordinary. But there is one final principle that ties every lesson together, a principle so powerful that once you truly embrace it, you will stop chasing success and start becoming the kind of person success naturally follows.